and welcome back, everyone. I'm here today to talk with you about boundaries, a topic that is near and dear to me because so many people struggle to set healthy boundaries and to keep healthy boundaries. So think about it like this. Think about this fence that surrounds your property. That's your boundary. And everyone has a fence, and hopefully you also have a gate. Now, who's monitoring your gate? Hopefully it's you, and hopefully you decide when you open the gate, when you close the gate, who you let in and who you ask to leave. You also are the one in charge of how long a person stays within your personal space. Now, some people, they don't have good boundaries. Their gate is not being monitored. In fact, it's stuck wide open, and people can come and go as they please. They don't do a good job of monitoring the gate. Or sometimes people hop your fence. Sometimes people are boundary violators, and you have to ask them to leave. So boundaries are ones that we set for ourselves. Now, other people have really strong boundaries, maybe too strong, where they have barbed wire at the top of their fence. And maybe they have a moat around them and alligators in their moat. You know, it's funny, different people have different boundaries. And it's finding the healthy level of boundary setting that works for you. But it's also recognizing and being honest with yourself, because sometimes we want to help, we want to rescue, maybe fix, problem solve, because that's what we do, especially the people we love. But it's important to be able to set healthy boundaries. Now, I'm going to talk about 4 different types of boundaries. There's emotional boundaries, there's physical boundaries, there's relational boundaries, and there are financial boundaries. Emotional boundaries are being able to not violate someone's, let's say, confidentiality, or violate their maybe something that they shared with you, something personal, something intimate, by sharing it with someone else. Maybe they said, I'm sharing this with you in confidence, and I hope that you won't share it with anyone else. And if you do, then you've violated a boundary. Or if you talk behind their back, that would be a boundary, a violation. Physical boundaries are your personal space. Who do you hug? Who do you not hug? I know today with COVID-19, we're not hugging people, but where's your personal space? And what's your boundary? Another physical boundary might be your door to your bedroom when it's closed. You know, do you close your door? Do people respect that boundary and knock before entering? That would be a physical boundary. Financial boundary would be if I loan you money or if I give you money, are you grateful not only for and appreciative, but are you respecting that by paying it back? You know, what are you doing with the money, and how is that a boundary violation if you're using it for bad things, or if you're not paying it back when you said you would? And certainly relational boundaries, similar to emotional boundaries, but are you doing things in a deceptive or secretive way? Certainly infidelity would be an example of that. Disrespecting your partner by violating boundaries outside of the covenant of marriage. So there's many different boundaries that exist. So you might say, why is it that some people have a hard time with boundaries? Well, one reason is because some people just do not like conflict. And sometimes when you set a boundary, you have conflict. So some people will avoid setting boundaries because of conflict. Sometimes people want to be liked, want to be loved and accepted, so they struggle with setting boundaries because they believe that if they set a boundary, other people will think differently of them. Then there are those people who are just people pleasers. They just love helping others out. And they're nice and they're very helpful, but sometimes being a helping type person can be unhealthy and also not helpful. Some people don't set good boundaries because they never learned it. They didn't grow up with good boundaries. So they don't have good experiences and maybe good role models as far as healthy boundaries. Like with children, certainly holding our kids accountable is a way for them to develop healthy boundaries. If we let them run the household or walk all over us, then we're not teaching them healthy boundaries. So what happens when people don't set good boundaries? Well, when you don't set good boundaries, people do take advantage. And you harbor anger, resentment sometimes, hurt, sadness. It creates a lot of negative emotion. So I want to just give you a few tips. How do you go about setting boundaries? Well, the first way is to work on saying no to people without guilt. So that's a tough one because sometimes people can say no, but they harbor guilt. So work on saying no to people. And when you say yes, mean it. And hopefully, people will respect you when you say no. And you say yes to some things and no to other things. But that's part of setting healthy boundaries. Also, when someone violates your boundary or someone hops over your fence, it's going to be important that you are assertive, that you're direct, that you're honest, and you're being true to yourself. And maybe you have to confront that person in a nice way, in a loving, respectful way. And sometimes you're going to have to do that in order to maintain healthy boundaries. There is tremendous freedom in having boundaries, and it can really enhance your relationships. I would encourage you to work on communicating directly, letting people know when they have violated your boundary, and talk through it. It doesn't have to be a negative experience or conflict that is so uncomfortable. Healthy boundaries are what we need because they will enhance our relationships with people, and they will also enable us to release negative emotion that sometimes occurs when our boundaries have been violated. Take some of the tips and use them in your life. Until next time, Dr. Tony Ferretti signing off.